All right, we are proud to have Inman alumni Lee Froese back today. Officer Froese was raised just outside of Inman, Kansas, and attended K-12 Inman Public Schools and graduated in May 2002. Froese's family owned a custom harvesting business and spent his summer months traveling with them following the wheat run and driving machinery starting around age 13. Froese had an interest in building and fabricating, so he spent much of his high school years in a welding shop or in woodworking classes. After graduating, Froese decided to take a break from school and purchased a semi-truck and became a part owner in the family business. Froese traveled for most of the year harvesting wheat in the summer and corn silage in the fall. Froese continued working until the fall of 2006 when he made law enforcement his career choice. In 2007, Froese began attending Hutchinson Community College with a criminal justice major. Froese was offered an opportunity to attend the Kansas Law Enforcement Training Center in March of 2008. Froese completed his 14-week residential-style training in May of 2008 and was recruited by the McPherson County Sheriff's Office to become a deputy sheriff. Froese spent the next several years serving with the MPSO as a deputy from 2008 to 2011. In January 2011, Froese was hired by the Wichita Police Department and attended a 23-week academic prior to be able to work in Wichita. During this time, Froese also attended Wichita State University. After graduating the academy, Froese spent several years working in areas around the city of Wichita. Froese worked overnights on the south side of Wichita and was accepted to move onto one of the department's special community action teams in 2015. During his time on SCAT, Froese worked violent crime and illegal drug investigations. While working his normal duties, Froese also tried out for the department's special weapons and tactics team. In January 2016, Froese was accepted on this team and still serves in the role when required. In November of 2017, Froese tried out for the new motor unit with a primary focus on traffic. Froese was accepted and sent to a 2-week extremely demanding motorcycle training course. Froese successfully graduated this course and now currently serves as one of the 11 motor officers with the city of Wichita. Froese has also received several awards while working for WPD to include the Silver Wraith of Valor, Bronze Wraith of Valor, 2 Bronze Wraiths of Merit, 2 Distinguished Service Awards, 3 Officer of the Month Awards, 5-year Safe Driving Award, multiple commentary performance reports, and was one of the Willard Garvey Crime Prevention Officers of the Year in 2015. Let's give a warm welcome to Officer Froese.
Good morning. If you asked me in high school if I thought I'd be standing in front of my student body that I graduated from, let's see, how many years is this? It's almost 20 years later. I would probably tell you no, that I thought I was going to be involved in agriculture in some way. I grew up doing that. I operated machinery growing up with my family. We owned and operated a custom harvesting crew. I was involved in some things in high school, such as FFA. I did play basketball and football. However, I was too small to really play in those sports. You wouldn't believe it, but I was actually small. I'm a giant person now, which is good and bad, but things change after you graduate, let's just say that. So if you guys are small now and you guys want to be big someday, you might have a chance, all right? So after high school, I harvested with my family, and this is me and my dad and my uncle, and we're discussing probably what's for lunch that day. I don't know what we're talking about. But I did that for years. I continued doing that. I moved into now fall harvest. That's a silage chopping operation. I actually owned that blue and white truck there for a while. You know, you work many, many hours doing that. If that's your career choice, awesome. I got to know that really, really well. I enjoyed it at the time. However, I wanted something different. I started questioning, well, is this what I want to make? Do I want to make my career choice or my life this? Do I want to do this? I decided in about 2006 that I think I want to go a different way, which, you know, that might happen to you. You might think you're going to do something today that you aren't going to be doing 5 to 10 years from now. It happens, you know. As we age and mature, we get different interests or different skill sets, and that's fine. So I decided I needed to go back to school to become a law enforcement officer. I didn't know much about it. I had some friends that worked in law enforcement. I knew that I was going to need some sort of schooling or background. So I decided to go to Hutch JUCO. It was the cheapest. I made a pros and cons list of waiting to go to college versus going immediately after high school. So if you go immediately after high school, you're going to get a little different experience. You're probably going to have a little more fun. You might incur some more debt because you haven't made any money as a 17 or 18-year-old person in your life. Pros for going, pros for waiting. You know, you have a little more maturity. You're probably not going to get in trouble, as you still could. It's college. Let's be fair here. You could have some money in the bank. I did. I had some money in the bank. I paid off all my student tuition and my books immediately when I received the bill. And I knew the dangers. My family did a good job of educating me about the dangers of incurring a lot of student loan debt. You know, if you go to school for, I don't know, there's probably some worthless degrees out there for college. I don't know. I can't name any right now. But there's probably worthless degrees that'll never pay off, and you might incur $50,000 worth of debt that you might never be able to repay. Cons of going back, obviously you didn't get the college experience. I had to work through college the entire time that I went through. And since I didn't apply myself in high school, I got to relearn some subjects, such as math. That was a fun one. College algebra, when you haven't studied for college algebra, is tough. Mr. Parsons is standing here and I see him, and that's why I said that. And I'm sure he remembers that. So these are current costs right now. So let's say you don't know what you're going to do. Hutch JUCO on the left is about half price of what current costs at WSU are right now. That's per credit hour today. If you wanted to go to WSU, you're gonna pay $223 per credit hour, or about $2,600 per semester for just your tuition. It doesn't include books or food or housing or anything. Like I said, I'm not really here to talk about that, but I just wanted to remind everyone here that those numbers don't change. And if you don't know what you're going to do, maybe start off at a junior college so you don't have to worry about such terrible costs. So in 2008, I was offered the opportunity to go to Kansas Law Enforcement Training Center. That's down there at Yoder. You have to be sponsored by an agency. I was actually working part-time for Inman Police Department, kind of to get my feet wet. I graduated successfully. The sheriff of McPherson County called me about the day I graduated, I think, and wanted me to come in and talk to him. You can't just turn that down. So I went and talked to him. We didn't really talk about a job too much. He just wanted to know what kind of person I was, and then he called me later and said, "Hey, do you want to work for me?" I thought that was pretty interesting. Started working for him immediately thereafter, $14 an hour. Got to work for McPherson County Sheriff for 3 years as a deputy. I also got to work on their special response team. If you don't think anything ever happens in McPherson County, here's a couple different calls that I went to that I remember. On 30th Avenue out by, what's that town, clear east side of, what? Oh, clear east of McPherson, I'll think of it here in a minute. Canton. We were working a meth lab, search warrant one day, and we go in, the guy runs out the back, I chase him, unwittingly I chase him through a cloud of that meth smoke or whatever they're cooking. It's an active lab, they're cooking. I get sick for about 2 weeks, I couldn't figure out why, and I said, oh yeah, I chased him through a meth lab. So that was fun. I got shot at one day on 15th Avenue north of McPherson. There was a husband and wife that were divorced. Husband breaks in. We get there. He runs into a room with a handgun. Myself and my partner get on either side of the door, and he shoots at us through the door. Later on, a Kansas Highway Patrol canine officer changed his mind about doing that. So we actually, he lived for a while. He went to prison, but died of natural causes recently. 2011, I moved to Wichita for a different experience. So Wichita, there's a lot going on. There's plenty to do. There's different areas where you can work. You can work in many, many specialty units, and the pay was better. So I moved to Wichita in 2011. I was assigned to Patrol South after graduating at yet another academy, 23 weeks long. I moved into the field training officer program. That was 12 weeks long. And then I was assigned to Patrol South, 4th Watch, which Patrol South is between Meridian and I-135 from Kellogg all the way south. So you encounter many, many individuals that are different than you. You also come across a lot of different types of things. So does anyone see anything wrong with that? This was one morning on the way home. We got a call. This is about 6:30 in the morning. This is 2012. I mean, does anyone know does anyone know why that happened? Here's another picture. Ooh, texting. You must be doing that from time to time while you're driving. No. Anyways, he's right. They were texting. So next time you get that text while you're driving, maybe just wait till you get home or wait till you pull over or whatever. They luckily weren't too seriously injured. Their car, however, didn't make it home that day. So you also come across different types of people that, as a police officer, people want to show you things. They want to show you their interests. Sometimes you are and you aren't interested, but you need to be respectful. So, you might come across guys like this that want to show you their giant 15-foot snake on the hood of your car. Or this little monkey thing, I don't know what that is. Anyone know what that is? A what? Whatever she said. So, you come across different, so that's a Lamborghini. His tag says 202 miles an hour. I don't know if you can read that. I'm actually issuing him a ticket for no insurance right there. He later provided evidence of self-insurance in court. So that was later dealt with, but that's the kind of stuff you deal with. So like I mentioned, WPD has many, many different specialties you can go into. The competition for these units is extremely high. You have to be physically and mentally fit. You have to have good evaluations. You have to show why they should accept you into these positions. That includes SCAT, which is Special Community Action Team, which he already touched on. That's the Drug and Violent Crime Enforcement Unit. There's SWAT. That's what I'm currently on as well. It took me 4 attempts to get on SCAT and 2 attempts to get on SWAT. And that's just because the competition was pretty high. I mean, there's 680 officers that work for the city of Wichita. You're dealing with, 20, 30 guys at a time trying to get to the same spot you are. This is when I was on SCAT. I'm holding a bag of meth in my hand there. That's the cops' TV crew took a picture of me while I was searching a car one day, and that's a bag of methamphetamine. That's 8 pounds of marijuana in the top right there with a little bit of money. And I am right underneath the American flag on that bottom right picture there. We're going to do a search warrant where there was 8 pounds of meth recovered from a drug enforcement warrant. So that's kind of what the SCAT unit deals with. I have been injured a few times on duty. The top left there and the middle, those are the same photo, that's just unwrapped. I dealt with a guy where he decided he didn't want to go to jail. He was a big guy. He was about 6'2", 240, and he wanted to fight, so we fought. And it took a few friends of mine to take him to jail, but all 3 officers were injured during that fight. On the one on the right there, that's from fences, jumping fences. You'll get injuries on your legs sometimes. And then down here on the bottom, I actually tripped and fell. So that's the worst of the 3. So I figured I'd show you guys how you guys get a kick out of that. Does anyone know what an MP5 is? That's what that is. That's a submachine gun that the SWAT team uses, and that's just kind of like segue into the next section here. If I can get this thing to go. So to be on the SWAT team, you have to have good evaluations. You have to have a tenure on the department as well. You have to have at least 3 years before you can even apply. So that's me in the front, my friend in the middle, and another guy. We're all trying out for the SWAT team. And we carried that thing up and down that dike at Lake Afton. It seemed like about 1,000 times. And they're testing your mental endurance. Because believe it or not, your body can go through a lot more than your mind thinks you can. It's 2 days, and you get just beaten for 2 days, but they're testing, like they want to know whether or not you're going to quit when the going gets tough. So that's what it is. So let's say you make it on the SWAT team. You might go through some tear gas testing, such as this, which that's always fun. Does anyone think that looks fun? It's not. Once you're on SWAT, you get to drive some cool stuff though. So I have driven every single one of these vehicles. I've also been deployed from every one of these vehicles. If you see me, I'm in the top left there, kind of buried in the back of that green truck there. We're getting ready to do an operation. This is what's interesting to me because I have background in this. I drove semis growing up, and driving big equipment is neat. So these are really neat because you get to drive over stuff sometimes, and they're bulletproof-ish. You get sent to different states on occasion. So this is when I got sent to Grand Rapids, Michigan. I learned to deploy from the armored vehicles. I learned to deploy around them. I learned to shoot from them as well. And we actually have a woman on our SWAT team for the first time in the history of the department. So I got to go spend some time up in Grand Rapids. This is some of that training. We came back to Wichita and trained the department. I'm up on the top. I'm instructing on how to shoot into that vehicle from the top of our armored vehicle. And this is a video of shooting on the move from an armored vehicle. You're literally shooting out of a hole about this wide. So I'm sure everybody in here has probably shot guns, maybe not. But it's difficult to do that, especially when you're moving. And if you guys hear anything different about this in a moment, let me know what you hear. Did anybody hear anything different about that gunfire? How that changed? That's an automatic suppressed M4 that they're using on that top turret there. So obviously I work on the motor unit. I had to try out for that unit. It was very hard to become part of that unit. It's 2 weeks and you fall down a lot. So this bike doesn't have scratches on it because of these guards here. They will fall over. I've done it. But you learn to be pretty good on a bike, and you primarily focus on traffic then. You work a lot of DUIs and you work a lot of speeding. These are a couple examples. So the bottom left there is a speeding ticket I wrote on Kellogg for 105 and a 60. And then that one on the right there, the target speed is 101. I was doing 107 to catch the individual on the right there. Does anyone think they can do that? It's actually a lot harder than it looks. it took a while to learn that. We got to escort the president recently. Despite how you feel about the president, it's really neat to escort a sitting president. That was in Topeka a couple weeks ago. There was 43 motorcycles. The escort went from Forbes Field all the way downtown and back. It was really interesting to actually drive by the presidential motorcade, see the president inside of his vehicle, and return. Sometimes being part of the motor, you have to do some not so fun things like escort a deputy when he dies in the line of duty, and that was done here recently as well. So that's what we do on the motor unit. Just a few things. So if you're asking yourself, well, what do I have what it takes to be a law enforcement? I don't know if anyone is even interested in being a law enforcement officer in here. You have to be a citizen of the U.S. You have to graduate high school, and you probably need some college nowadays. I mean, I would say most definitely you need at least some. You can't use any illegal drugs within at least 3 years. That includes marijuana. So, despite the fact that marijuana is legal, I see some people snickering. If you want to be an officer, you just can't be involved in anything like that because it's still illegal on a federal level. You need to be good with your finances because they look at that, because an officer's job creates enough stress the way it is. And if you're bad with your finances, then that's just going to add more stress to you and potentially cause an issue later. So, also you can't be involved in any misdemeanor traffic crimes or felonies. And currently, as of today, Wichita PD starts at $22.13 an hour. And that's starting pay. When you're in the academy, you get paid to go to work.